Blerd's in the game.
All right. Welcome back to the Geekset podcast, the only podcast that blend hip-hop culture and geek culture together. I'm your boy Deuces, and this is One-on-One with Deuces, the place where I speak with creators, curators, and people that you should know. And right now, man, we got a living legend. And I say that not even lightly. Somebody whose voice I know that you've heard. Somebody whose sound that you probably used on TikTok and didn't even realize whose sound it was. But we have the one and only deep voice assassin, Stefan Johnson. How you doing, bro?
That is one hell of an intro. What is going on, boss? I'm happy to be here.
Man, I'm excited because I get to talk to people like you. As I was telling you in pre, one of the things that I love is giving people their flowers while they're here. So shout out to Noriega and the people, and Drink Champs and everything for normalizing it. But it's like, one, I mean, you've had this voice your whole life. So right immediately, I knew your voice from the TikTok sound. And I said, who the hell is that? Like, and then when I started like consuming your content and subscribing to, what you do and then learning more about your journey, I'm like, yo, like this is like just dope, showing Black people jumping into spaces on their own, creating their own narrative and their own path, and like just owning what they do, and like the way that you approach the voice acting game and just the way that you approach social media and use it in tangent, bro. I just want to let you know, like, you are an inspiration to a lot of us, man. And I just want to make sure that you have your flowers and know that you are appreciated in this world, from my community to yours and everything like that, bro.
No, I appreciate it. I mean, anytime I can say people are looking at me and find some inspiration, warms the heart.
Yeah. So I like to get into people's history, and I do a good lot of research. So one of the things that I really love is, like, one, you're from the Midwest. So I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. You from Cleveland. So
yes,
you know what I'm saying. Anytime that a Midwestern, you know what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But like the one thing I love about your journey is you have these people, like a lot of people who their whole life they're like, oh, I want it to be this, right? And where you, like I said, you have a relatable story. You was like you said you thought you was the man when you was the pizza manager. You know what I'm saying? You was like, look, I'm good. This is real comfy right here. But then you realize, like, this is not really filling my bucket. But you didn't really know what you wanted to do, and then you kind of just figured it out on the go. And I was like, that type of mindset and that type of story is so relatable. And then you told this story a lot, but reflecting back on it, like, one of the things I think you said on the interview was like, if you would have been doing this from the get-go, how far you would have been.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was a big procrastinator. Like you said, I was a manager at a Pizza Hut years ago, right out of broadcasting school. I was in a band that was popular, and I just got comfortable. And then once I started to not be so comfortable with that job, I would just move on to another regular job and another regular job until I realized, all right, Stefan, you've been through about 10 jobs in 10 years. What's the problem? And I'm like, you know what? You gotta stop fucking around and make some shit happen,
Yeah, and and that's like even me right now in my realm, I'm doing these interviews and I'm doing the podcast and things like that. But like coming out of school, like I was chasing the dollar. So like I didn't go to college like that. I was like, listen, I'm getting money here. I was like, I had a job that paid weekly. And so it's like I was like,
and we're like, this is the spot, like this is the goal right here. I'm living the fucking dream, like
right.
for sure.
So and when I started doing the podcast and started doing, I voice act, I narrate for Watch Mojo now, and so when I started, but it's like I found all this within the past 5 years. Nice. So it's like I was a late bloomer, but it was like realizing, like, man. I don't have to be in Hollywood, or I can do it from here. Exactly. I got all the equipment, I can talk to like dope people like yourself. So it's just like, I love when I get to see a story that's relatable to people. And I think that that's what the draw is to you.
I mean, I think so. I mean, I was born and raised Cleveland, Ohio, on Huff Avenue, which, if you know anything about Cleveland, you know Huff is
Yeah.
like the hoodiest of the hood. You know what I mean? So, I mean, like, when you hear that people are making it coming out of Huff, I mean, it resonates with people. And I'm happy
Yeah.
to be that catalyst for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And again, another shared history because I too worked at Pizza Hut.
Did you?
Yeah. And
Nice.
the one thing, so here's one thing that
Yeah.
I loved about working in a fast food, but then
Mhm.
in general is like, because like when you work there, you get to mess around with the ingredients.
Oh, for sure. Oh, bro.
To
Like,
this day, I say that I was the creator of the calzone because I just remember, I'm like, I don't want to have a full pizza.
yeah.
So I was like, let me fold it over. And I swear they
Yeah.
came to Milwaukee and saw that. It was like, hey, what's that?
Shit. They owe you some funds. They owe you some
Right.
compensation. Oh, shit. We're going to run up in the ass. We're going to run up in the ass. We're
Yeah.
going to get you your money, bro.
But the aspect that I was like, I related to you about that, I was like, I feel like a lot of people don't know. There's a difference between a Pizza Hut in the white neighborhood and a Pizza Hut in the hood. Because
Yes. Part of the reason why I left is because we got robbed. Got robbed at gunpoint. You know what I mean? When dude came hopping behind that counter with that we'll call it a Glockenspiel. We'll call it a Glockenspiel. You know what I mean? And that's at that moment I had my hands up. I'm like, maybe this isn't for me. And I'm at that moment. I'm like, this might not be the career step that I need to take down. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a big
the,
difference.
the funniest part about Pizza Hut for me was like when I first got there, the manager, like he put me on game on how you kind of like, I guess the statute of limitations is gone, how you can short the register. So he was like, look, somebody call in, they give a big order, you
Yeah.
tell the cook, you don't register it, we put it on top of the oven. So when they come in, they give you the money, you pocket the money. This is the manager teaching me this. And I said, this is
Unfortunately,
first day.
again, since it's been 12 years, I will admit I am familiar with that protocol. Yeah, we there were times where I had to take a trip. Maybe I was going to visit. I was in a long distance relationship at the time. Had to go to New York to see the girl. Had to
Yeah.
get some funds up, and I'm not proud of it. This is 12 years ago, folks. Let's remember that. But I'm familiar, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's take it back to your band, man. Because like I said, you got a pretty popular band. Y'all was touring and everything like that, and still still doing band stuff like that.
Mhm.
What Where did your love for band come from? Just because you're a guitarist, right?
Guitars and basses, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it all started because me and my friends, we all went to Martin Luther King, which is on 71st and a Huff. Again, hoodies of the hood, right? But we were all into like punk rock, alternative. We grew up listening to Green Day, Sum 41, My Chemical Romance, No FX, stuff like that. And we were like the only four kids that would at least admit that they were into rock. So we all looked at each other and said, we should start a band. So then I started with our lead singer getting his first guitar, and then our drummer getting a drum kit. I was supposed to get a bass, but I ended up getting a guitar, and then we roped my friend Curtis into it, and he got a bass, and was a pretty popular band for about 4 or 5 years in the Cleveland alternative and punk scene.
Dope, man. That's so dope, man. I
Mhm.
love Cleveland's music scene. So like
Oh,
me, like I said, my origins come from more hip hop, but
I feel
like
you.
I'm a lover of music. You know what I'm saying? I'm a music
Absolutely.
enthusiast.
Oh, for sure.
And one of my DJ homies, his name was DJ G Spot, that was out
Yeah.
there in Cleveland.
Gotcha.
And and we would go out there and just the music scene, the clubs, the different because we would do bar hopping and everything. I can't remember
Yeah.
street names, stuff like
No,
that,
I
but we
got
would
you.
just hit all these places.
Yeah.
Akron was a crazy
Oh,
music scene.
yeah.
I said, what?
Yep.
I was
You
like,
got it.
what?
You
So yeah,
got
that's
it.
good, man.
Yeah, and it's funny because we would collaborate with like so many different artists. We were on the punk scene, but we ended up collaborating with folks on the hip hop side, the jazz side. We were in our punk rock band, but we used to play for our church too. We all went to the same church,
Oh,
and we were
yeah.
the church musicians too. So I mean, like again, we were all just lovers of music. And again, on the hip hop side too, we were into like like the local rappers like Al Fats and like Chip the Ripper, and then of course the big guys
Oh,
back
yeah,
then, Lil Jon, and then like the whole
yeah.
crunk scene or whatnot. So yeah, we just were eclectic as far as all of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, because I always love like a redemption or like a,
Mhm.
what I'm saying, like a different version, right? When you do like,
Mhm.
I remember when Lil Wayne Lollipop came out. I think
Yeah.
the band name was Freeman Hanley, I believe so.
Okay.
And
Gotcha.
they did a Lollipop cover, but it was in a
Oh, I'm
rock.
hip. I'm hip. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I
And
heard that one. Yeah,
I thought that
yeah.
was the dopest shit ever.
Oh yeah, the crossover. You can't go wrong with like a good crossover. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now I'm glad you turned your life over because I know you did hard time over a guitar pick.
You did your research. Wow. You did your fucking research. All right. Yeah. Yeah. That was a rough go. Senior year of high school. Again, we're going back to the band.
Yeah.
We needed merch. And we're like, you know what? We've seen this shirt printer in Walmart. And we're like, you know what? We don't got money. We could probably just take it. And while we're going and getting that done, I saw these guitar picks because Walmart used to sell like little cheap instruments and had guitar picks. I'm like, okay, we're stealing a whole printer. I might as well take this pack of guitar picks. And it's been 3 days behind bars. Not my proudest moment, but it happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wow.
But it's being a teenager.
Yeah.
You do dumb stuff, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's best you get it out early.
100%. Yeah, because if I was still, if I'm 32, stealing guitar picks, then maybe we need to reevaluate life. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's
so fast forwarding and stuff like that. So the way that I generally got introduced to you though was your crunk opera acapella.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And you did the Get Low and and like that's what I saw. That's what I was like, hey, this is hilarious. But like, you haven't done one of those in a while.
No, it's funny because when I first started on TikTok, music was more so my thing. I was doing parody songs of because I do a very little bit of music production. I know a very little bit about it, and I would do like joke songs like a spoof of "You've Got a Friend in Me" called "You Got an STD," and then back when COVID hit, I did a spoof on Josh Turner's "You're a Man" about being bored in the house and stuff like that. And then the food thing kind of just took over from there. But I haven't done the music stuff in a while.
I know, yeah, and like it's funny because like you're more known for the food stuff a lot because of your hot takes and everything, and that's good that hits viral. But like that's another aspect. Like, I look at a lot of these creators and I see, there's so many people, within like the food game, right? And I'm just like, man, anytime I can see myself in it, you know what I'm saying? Whether it's like, so another black person doing it, I champion it, right? And so when I see that, like, not only are you bringing your own flavor and comedy to it, but like the brands are recognizing it and rocking with it. I'm like, yes, like that is a win for Blerd culture and everything. And so it's like, I like to ask people about their Blerd origin. So when I say Blerd origin, like we love nerd culture, everybody loves it, whether it's wrestling, comic books, video games, stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure.
But what was the moment where you saw yourself in this culture where you was like, yo, I see my representation?
Oh, well, I mean, me, as you see back there, I got where am I right here, all my wrestling memorabilia or whatnot. So I've always been into wrestling since about 10 years old. And then, growing up, there you go. Yeah. So, I mean, like, to see folks like The Rock, Mark Henry, seeing Ron Simmons, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Again, wrestling's this nerdy thing in most, walks of life or whatnot. But you see strong black men dominating the industry. Again, The Rock, who's bigger than The Rock in all of entertainment right now, let alone back in the 2000s, 1990s wrestling, you know what I mean? And again, a guy the same, well, I'm a bit darker, but I would say the same complexion with the same skin as me, a leader of that industry, you know what I mean? So it could start right there, honestly.
Yeah. So now, I mean, like I said, you always have the hot takes. So this is going to probably cause some controversy. What is your favorite era?
Ooh, I mean, the easy answer would be the Attitude Era, right? But I'm also a fan of the Ruthless Aggression era. Again, the introduction of like John Cena, Batista, where Edge reached his peak. You know what I mean? The Rock was like he was already in Hollywood, but he was doing his guest appearances. I think The Rock did some of his best work in the Ruthless Aggression era. Even though he wasn't a full-time wrestler at the time. Might be Ruthless Aggression. Actually,
I was heavy Attitude Era, and then I had stopped watching right after Attitude Era, right?
Yeah.
But then I started going back. So like I've been also on this journey on watching on Peacock. There's not an ad, but they have everything. Like I can watch the history of SmackDown, history of Raw, and like because like I was deep in like wrestling lore where like I was there for the Monday Night Wars, like I was because I Wolfpack, like NWO.
Oh yeah, the NWO for life. Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like there was a lot, you know what I'm saying, that I was like, but yeah, so
Mhm.
yeah, that's always those are the two that I always see get pit against each other. Is the
Exactly.
attitude era and ruthless aggression era. Yeah.
For sure.
So who's your current favorite wrestler?
Currently, I'm a big fan of what Bobby Lashley is doing.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, because he's getting. I used to again. He has the physicality. He has the moves in the mic. And moves in the ring. But now he's getting better on the mic. He's getting more of a personality. He's proven to be a good baby face and a good heel. I love what he does. And actually, I'm in the minority here, but Dominic Mysterio has been really entertaining lately. With I'm
Okay.
not sure if you're hip with the whole prison
Yeah.
the whole prison gimmick he's rolling right
Yeah.
now. But he's probably the most entertaining thing on Raw right now.
Okay.
Yeah, right now.
Now I know because, like I said, growing up as a kid, you know, me and my friends, we used to put on matches in the
Yeah,
backyard,
for sure.
right? You know what I'm saying? So I
Yeah.
know you did, and with your voice dropping at 12, I know that you capitalized off those moments to like
Yeah.
the fake monologues and
Oh,
tough
for sure, for
crap.
sure. So back in high school, me and my friends, the same band, along with a group of other folks, we
Yeah.
had the ICWF. It was the Inner City Wrestling Federation.
Oh,
So after school, a bunch of us, maybe about 10, maybe 12 of us, would get back behind the school in the garden and put on matches. And we'd be jumping off the fences,
yep.
and we would have our steel cage, and we would have boxes, which would be our steel chairs or whatnot. And then we started to kind of get like a following, and groups of kids would come watch us. And then once it reached the administration, they put the kibosh on it. So it
Okay.
lasted about like 4 or 5 months, but we had a good little run. You know what I mean?
Now, was y'all being the characters, or y'all had your own characters?
Oh no, we had our own characters. We had our own
All right, so
characters.
I gotta know. Do you remember what was your character name, man?
My character, it was the stupidest, cringiest thing. I felt it would be a brilliant character to be a weatherman. I was like Brock. I was like Brock Lincoln, who was like a weatherman gimmick. And I think my finisher was called Cloudy Days or something like that. You know what I mean? Or Clouds in the Forecast or something like
Yeah.
that. And it was like an insecurity or whatnot. But yeah, I think it was something very cringy like that.
So
Yeah.
since I told you you made you tell me yours. I'm gonna tell you mine.
Yes.
So
Let's hear it.
I
Let's hear
was
it.
heavily influenced by like No Limit,
Yeah.
3 6 Mafia, right? And
For
so
sure.
like I
Yeah.
always had this idea that like if you have
Mhm.
a label or a faction, no matter what, it gotta have a
Mhm.
theme. And
Yeah,
so
of course.
my theme was I was like, oh, are we gonna be like graveyard stuff, right? You know what I'm saying? So we was called the
Right.
Graveyard. My name was
Huh,
Maniac, but
huh, okay.
it was this. This is why I always laugh at it. The A's was the at
Mhm.
symbol. So
You were ahead of your time because they doing that now. You're ahead of
I
your time there,
know,
bro. You know what I
the
mean?
way it was written out, it was the at symbols.
Yeah,
And so like I was like a mix between like Ultimate Warrior and like,
yeah.
but it was like because I was hip hop, it was like Ultimate Warrior and Mystical before the stuff that is on now. It was just it made no
I
sense.
love it. I love
But it
it.
was like I was all into it. So I
Yeah.
was aggressive and everything.
Yeah. Oh, bro, that's classic. Like, take us back to those days when things were simpler. We could just,
Simpler when you got suspended for saying suck it.
oh, bro, daily in-house suspension, out-house suspension, all of it, detention every year of my
Yeah.
school. Yes. My God.
So your first video that went viral was actually about your work, though. Like you and like I know
Mhm,
that a lot of times that gotta feel pretty good because a lot of times you
mhm.
go viral for the something that you're like, ah man, that's the one y'all
Yeah.
chose. But
Yeah.
yours was actually for your work. How dope
Yeah.
was that moment where you realized like, oh snap, I'm going viral and people are getting an insight into me?
Man, I mean, it was one of those things to say it was unexpected, but I put a lot of work into that video. So like you were hoping for it,
Yeah,
but just like at the rate my account was going right there, I've had things go mini viral, but nothing quite as big as that. And I didn't really think that would be the one. But then when I wake up the next day to all the views and
yeah,
the increase in followers or whatnot, I'm like, wow, people are taking interest into this voice acting side of things.
yeah.
And maybe I'm a little funny. I didn't think I was too funny then, but people are, finding me funny. I'm like, maybe we got something here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And because it's probably because when a lot of us think we're funny in general, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of us also we put it in perspective, like, all right, I mean, I'm funny to my peoples, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
when the world starts saying it, you're like, okay, wait a
Yeah.
minute, I got something here.
Exactly. Because that's the whole reason I started TikTok. I just thought I was going to make funny videos and make my friends laugh. And here we are sitting at
Yeah,
7.6 million. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
right.
How? You know?
But you know what I love about that video, and I guess it maybe I mean I don't know if this was planned or not, or this is just me looking too far into it, but like you had a wrestling shirt on when you woke up. Like it's like you're really getting your personality in this video about
Yeah,
the day in life of a voice actor. So it's
exactly.
like it's one of those things where like even when you see the comments, like some people who didn't even pay attention to the video, they're like, "Oh, NWO!" Like you know, what I'm saying? It's like so it's just like you know, and
Yeah,
I thought that was dope as I started doing the research into you. Like, oh yeah,
yeah,
he really rocks with wrestling. This is not
for
just the
sure.
oh I grabbed this shirt from Target or anything like that. Like,
Nah,
no, he really rocks with it. So I was like,
yeah.
it's dope. I was like, was that planned or was that just a normal everyday?
You know, that was just my wardrobe that day because I kind of got the idea for it in the moment. Like I filmed it in the middle of the afternoon, just like after I got done with my voiceover work for the day. And
Yeah,
I'm like, this would be a funny idea. And so I'm just like, I didn't prepare a wardrobe or whatever. I just set the scenes and filmed them and put it
yeah.
together. So,
Yeah, so at that time when you finally made the decision to really start doing voiceover and
mhm.
voiceover work, who were your early influences that like you was like, oh, okay, I'm seeing this and this person, I like how this person is doing. Like, who were your influences?
Oh man, the thing is, I wasn't too into the actual like knowing folks' names back then. I didn't really begin to know my heroes until I started to research the industry because of
Oh,
course I love because of course I loved like, all these cartoons and I would hear the voices like for the movie trailers and on the commercials or whatnot, but I didn't know one's names. So back early in my career, I had heroes in the sense of the voices. So I came to find out like Levar like oh god, like Don LaFontaine. He
ooh,
is like the movie trailer
yeah,
guy of like the
yeah,
90s and early 2000s or whatnot. Never knew his name until I started to be in the industry.
mhm,
Folks like Cree Summer, you know what I mean? The Susie
yeah,
Carmichael, you know what I
yeah,
mean? Didn't know her name until I began to research the industry. And there's a
right.
bunch, so many other names I can name.
Well, yeah, you know, and that's the thing. Like when I started doing these, and so my journey into voice acting came from respecting you guys and interviewing you guys, right? So one, my very first voice actor that I got to interview was Deborah Wilson, right?
Mm,
And I was just
yeah.
like, yo, and then she introduced me to Phil Lamar. And
Oh
then
my
I
God.
interviewed
So,
like Keith Silverstein and like
yeah.
and then I'm just keep on going down this path and I'm just like,
Yeah.
you know, and then like because I do my research, when I was
Yeah.
researching everybody, what I love, and this is why I loved your video, is
Mhm.
I love seeing you guys do the behind the scenes of you doing the
Oh
voice,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people just think like, oh, I just talk on a mic. And I'm
Right.
like, no, if you ever see Phil Lamar do his characters,
Yeah.
like you can see the veins in his neck
Oh,
because
you
he's
get
it's
into it.
acting.
Yeah,
It's
it's
acting.
actual acting. Yeah.
Yeah. And so
Mhm.
I, you know, and I was like, yo, you know, as a kid, I used to
Mhm.
make around voice and stuff like that. And I said, I want
Mhm.
to do this properly. So I
Yeah.
started, you know, practicing. I started taking, you know, just different vocal lessons and things like
Mhm.
that. And I said,
Yeah.
I'm gonna give my shot out this and
For
I'm
sure.
gonna try and I'm gonna keep on doing it and keep on going. And it
Yeah.
ended up being a thing, but it was like learning what you guys do. I love seeing that behind the scenes because if for the people who don't know, like
Mhm.
what you do, like it can't it's not just like all right I got a mic I got it like no
Right.
like
Right.
you got to really get in there like
Yeah.
even with narrating even with the approach like
Mhm.
when you see the trailer guy and you see his documentary I forgot that I think it was a documentary it was something that they
Yeah.
did
Mhm.
on it and then he has a method how okay what type of movie is this all right so
Mhm.
I'm gonna do it this way and I'm
Yeah,
just
for
like
sure.
and you
Yeah.
wouldn't even think that if you was
Yeah.
just somebody who was like, oh, I could just do that. Like, no, you got to have an approach, and it's
Yeah.
like it's the art to vocal acting. It's just so amazing, man.
Oh yeah, there's a lot to it. I mean, me with my voice being the way it is, I didn't start making money until I actually started to get training and, coaching. I coached for like about 2 years before I actually started making money because you can have an instrument, you can have a $2,000 Fender Stratocaster, but if you don't know how to play the thing, if you don't know how to tune the guitar,
Yeah,
it's not going to sound good. You can't work it. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So you got to learn how to actually work your instrument. Like the documentary you're watching, yeah, you got to know what you're reading for too. You got to know what energy to bring to it. It's a
yeah.
whole skill set that a lot of people don't realize exists.
Yeah, and that's why like there's also like people like T-Pain. The reason why
Mhm.
I respect T-Pain so much is yes, auto tune is a tool, right? That you can
Oh yeah,
utilize,
but the
right?
man can blow. Like the man
Right.
could go a
He blow.
cappella.
But even outside of him being able to sing a cappella, he knows how to use auto-tune, right? Because we've heard horrible auto-tune. We've heard people like not everybody doesn't use it the same. You got to know how to use it, you know.
Exactly.
And that's the same thing with vocal acting. You got to know how to use your voice in whatever setting that it is and everything.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's where also an interesting thing about you that I learned is that like you're not, you said you'll do it if the money is there no matter what, but you're not a fan of the long narration.
Yeah, that's not me. Just because I have ADHD, like diagnosed and everything. So when it gets to like me being in a set, like you even see me like fidgeting right here in my chair, you know, being in like the same place for too long, it just kind of, I don't know, the mind starts to wander or whatnot. So when you have like give me a 15-page medical narration, you know what I mean? And that'll take like maybe like 3 or 4 hours to record. Not my cup of tea. I did one audiobook in my life. Worst fucking idea I've ever had in my goddamn life. Literally, it was back when I was still working a regular job too. Had to call off a couple of days of work to get it finished or whatnot, just for the guy to come back and say, "Oh, we need revisions." I quit the job. I told him, like, you know what, this ain't me. This ain't for me, bro. No.
But see, that's it's like the gift and the curse because of how deep your voice is. It makes perfect sense for like a meditation app or something for you to do long form.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, not at all.
Yeah, I only got like a couple clients right now that I do long form work for, and it's because they, you know, they take care of me. You know what I mean? And it's like, you know, those 2 or 3 are the ones that I ever need for the rest of my life because I don't want to touch the stuff outside of that.
Everybody has the stereotypical on what a black geek is. Are you familiar with the term blerd?
Blerd, no.
Right.
Some people said it came off of Scrubs. Some people said it came off the internet. I don't honestly really know.
Don't you see the skin, the eyebrows, the hair?
Yo, my geeks still rock, you know what I'm saying, Dunks or Jordans or whatever.
Did I do that?
It's exciting. It's like, holy, oh, my dog is gonna start barking.
It's all right.
She's excited about it too.
And same as you said, like a barbershop talk, like we would go into really in-depth conversations about these theories and like, well, what if and how come?
It's not unusual to be
right? But we talk about anime, video games, comic books and stuff like that, but when you hear us talk about it, the passion sounds like we arguing Jordan and Bron.
What do you mean? What does that even mean? What does that even mean?
Like, it sounds like barbershop talk.
Because you don't know the history, don't mean it ain't happened,
You broke that down right there.
But when you see the black geek, you don't see that. You see the socially awkward glasses. Well, this is me. And that's not a lot of us. A lot of us do sound and talk like us. You know what I'm saying?
Because it becomes stereotypical, as if that's where our strength comes from.
I don't know the geek that you talked about before. I know the geek you're talking about right now, though.
It was sort of a call sign so we could find each other on message boards.
Anime gives you life lessons throughout that whole thing. Like, there's not one anime that I know of that doesn't teach you to never give up.
It's just like, I just love seeing us go into the world and go into these different spaces and create things that weren't there before. And then it was like Miles Morales is like the normal, black person in the United States.
That was my first Blerd moment, was seeing, Storm on the X-Men cartoon series. And I was like, wow, that's a black woman and she's strong, she's powerful.
That's what I want for us. I want us to be that voice.
So I'm a person that I like to breathe things into existence, right?
For sure.
And so, I in this geeky world, I talk to, I got a lot of friends that we chop it up about. Yeah. And this is something that you probably didn't think about, but I'm gonna put it out there. Okay. And I know it may be a little bit too soon, but I believe that you would be a perfect candidate to be the voice of a new animated Batman.
Ooh. Huh.
And so this is why, RP Captain Conroy, because the one thing that I loved about Batman and his vocal performance is, one, it's commanding, right?
Yeah,
But
for sure.
even in his normal, right? Like,
Yeah.
so like he can rev it up when he got to put fear. But
Yeah.
even when he's talking to like Damien or
Yeah.
Dick Grayson or anybody in the Bat family or
Mhm.
like it's still commanding, right?
Oh yeah.
And your normal voice is that. But I've heard you also bring it down, like, you know what I'm saying, where like
Yeah.
if you had to be the Dark Knight, and like I believe that you can do it. And I was like, that's what we was talking about. It we was going over some of the things, like we share clips,
Okay.
of Batman and the animated series, and we're
Okay.
like, yo, we were kids learning about like the psyche of people because
Yeah.
that writing was amazing.
Oh yeah, for sure. For
And I
sure.
said, who's going to fill these shoes that's going to be able to do that? And
Yeah.
then, like I said, I mean, you're fresh on my mind. I was like, ooh, hey. And then it was like a resounded like, hey, he's actually fit for it. So I'm putting it out there in that stratosphere. I don't know if that's out there or anything like that, but I would love to hear you in a Batman animated movie.
Oh, bro, that would be amazing. I mean, like again, with the like R.I.P. Kevin Conroy, massive shoes to fill.
Yeah.
But if DC was looking and they just heard my stuff, I would definitely do my best to step up to the plate because it would be a massive honor, and appreciate you, brother, for even putting that out there. That's a wild idea, but it's a hell of a role. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm a product of putting things out there. The reason why I'm with Watch Mojo was literally I put it out there, and then the universe said, "Hey, here you go." And I said, "All right, bet."
That's amazing. That is amazing, actually.
So what I do want to know though, like I know that narrating movies, I mean, doing the trailers, that's one of your big, goals that you want to. But is there any like roles, any characters, any shows, anything that like that's like your Moby Dick that you're like, oh, I would love to be a part of?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to work with Marvel, the MCU particularly, because I'm a massive like Marvel guy. I've seen every single movie at least 3 times. So that's definitely up there. If I can be incorporated, whether it's voicing one of their movie trailers or I don't know, voicing a character, I wouldn't even mind doing some on-screen stuff with them. That would be amazing. And plus, also me being the wrestling guy behind,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like if I could do something for the WWE, it would be amazing. I've actually ended up becoming pretty good friends with a few of the wrestlers, and it's like, I will. Who knows what can lead to what? But between those two, those may be my. Oh, and also I'm a big fan of Pokemon. I'm big. Yeah, played every single game that's ever come out. And if in the main series games they decide they want to incorporate voice acting, I will be knocking on their door. I'll be reaching out to my agents to say, "Hey, let's make this happen." You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, here's where I believe that they're going because Sonic was a hit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They got the new Mario going.
Yeah.
Now, Detective Pikachu is not the true Pikachu and Ash, but I feel like are they trying to set up a Smash Bros? Because I said if so, they can first. Like that'd be fire. And there's a lot of roles in there.
They're gonna touch that, I'm sure, with as massive of a franchise as Smash Bros is, and then like I said, the live action or CGI Mario, the Pokemon or whatnot. Oh, they have to. I give it 5 years. I give it 5 years.
Originally, I was going to say Mario Kart, but then in the Mario movie trailer, it's
they have carts in there.
They already carts are inside. I was like, all right. So, but here's a couple of things. So with Marvel, I know that you already met the Russo brothers, and they already they know your voice.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying. So what if it's a possibility for sure?
Yep.
But also, there's a lot of villains that are going to be coming that need a commanding voice. You know, so we know Galactus is coming.
Galactus, and
Galactus,
they still got to animate King the Conqueror and MODOK. They got to put him in What If as well. So I mean, who knows? The possibilities are endless.
Yeah. And then one of the things that I know that you already touched in that a lot of us is like, oh man, like in general, you already jumping into the video game industry and doing things like that.
Yeah.
How's that gotta be fun to have characters in a video game or voices in a video game that people was like, yep, hey, that's me right there.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's like that's work that I ended up not pursuing as much as I thought I would end up, wanting to, but it's just opportunities come up and auditions will come in from my agents and I'll go for it. a lot of the stuff I book, it's weird that I never think I'm going to get. A job will come up and I'm like, I don't really fit these specs, but let me do my best. And then they'll call me up a week later, like, hey, they want you. And I'm like, oh, snap. And every video game character I've ever voiced has been that exact same story. It just, it's a testament to just say you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take,
Yeah.
So I've learned more to just throw every audition, just to go in and just do every audition rather, because even if you don't think you're a good fit, the producer might think you're a good fit. Me doing Bally Sports, I've been the voice of Bally Sports for like the last 2 years. I'm not a sports guy when it comes to like football, basketball, baseball, or whatnot. So again, I just thought it was gonna be a practice audition. I just submitted it just for the hell of it, and 2 weeks later they said they want you. I'm like, well, shit. All right, well, here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah.
For the longest, I thought that you were the Arby's voice.
No, that's Ving Rhames.
That is Ving Rhames.
Holiday Heart. That's Holiday Heart. Yeah.
have what voices have people like confused you with over the time?
Oh God. People think I am the Mufasa in the new, like the most recent Lion King. I'm like, no, that's still James. That's still James Earl Jones. People think the Arby's guy. People thought any movie trailer, they always think that's me. I'm like, no, I know the guy, but that's not me. It's a lot of stuff. Almost every deep voice commercial, they will tag me in the online ad, like my boy Stefan here. I'm like, nope, not me, but I appreciate you. You know what I mean? Every day, bro.
Yeah, because I mean, there's a handful of deep voice people, but it was like, but once you start paying attention, you can hear everybody's different inflections, and you can kind of start telling them away and everything like that. You know what I'm saying? Now, I want to go back to one thing. You talked about you love Marvel, you watch everything Marvel. How are you feeling about the past phase that just happened? So I know we're getting into now the new one, but last year's phase, how was you feeling about that phase?
I mean, it's a reset phase. Everyone's expecting it to be like phase 3 all over again, up the ante or whatnot. People are failing to realize that you have to kind of start over, because every phase can't be a climax. Like phase 3 was the climax of the Infinity Saga or whatnot, or was phase 4? I'm getting mixed up now. But
no, you're right, because this last one, because we're in phase 5 now.
We're in phase 5 now, right? Ant-Man will be the first movie of phase 5, right? So like, Black Widow was a prequel, you know what I mean? Wasn't going to do too much world building, so people were disappointed with that. The Eternals was meant to be another world building one. It's a longer movie, a slower paced movie. People were upset at that. Shang-Chi, introducing a bunch of new characters, new realms, you know what I mean? And it just didn't take off as well as people would have thought. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed phase 4 because it was that storytelling one, and they put so many seeds into the ground, even from like the animated series. Loki, King the Conqueror is here now. You know what I mean? Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, mutants are in the MCU now, established as fuck. You know what I mean? So I enjoyed it.
When they dropped that little, I lost it. I said, what?
Exactly.
I lost
it.
But so my hot takes about phase 4. I tell everybody this, and I say it as many chances I can. For the people who hate Eternals, I said you're not going to appreciate Eternals until 4 or 5 years from now, just like you didn't appreciate Age of Ultron. People didn't appreciate Age of Ultron until everything came circle, and it was like,
right, exactly.
That's how I feel about Eternals.
Right, because they're going to they have so many things from that movie they have to re-explore, like Tiamat, this big figure creeping out of the earth now. They have to address it, you know what I mean? So they're going to like circle back there, and they're going to start world building and story building around it. It's going to come full circle like they always do. It always comes back full circle.
But the one thing that the Eternals they gave me that I was like, oh, I got nothing but trust in them is the scale that they made the Celestials at final scene when those eyes open up, and I said, you know I said, I mean? Yo, that thing is massive,
like almost as big as the solar system. You know what I mean? Like just these entities they are introducing, and even from like the Watcher, and now Eternity, and now I think even Love is some kind of half celestial now, or something like that, some kind of half cosmic being. So like just the world and the universe is just expanding beyond. Again, we're in a whole ass multiverse right now. So
so that's super dope. So I also love how you share knowledge of just the game in general. Like you've been very vocal about using LinkedIn to build, and I'm saying how you get certain roles, and just like, but what I like is that it's not, you're like, don't just get on there and just start like, just making it happen or thinking it's going to happen. Like you got to build with these people. So like social media, when did you really start realizing the tool that social media is and started constructing it to help your career?
Well, I mean, when the whole TikTok thing started to blow up, once I got like over like about 1 million followers or whatnot, I started to notice that people were inboxing me to like do voices for like their independent cartoons and for like their maybe your used car lot to do a commercial and then like podcast intros and stuff like that. And then the offer started to get bigger, and then folks from like networks were reaching out and folks from like brands were reaching out. And I'm like, okay, so let's harness this. Again, I am very visible right now. Let's do what we can to make it very evident almost every video that you are a voice actor full time. And I don't have to say it every video, but I can kind of turn on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like opposed to just saying like, here we're going to talk about the top 5 French fries. Well, we're going to say the top 5 French fries of all time. We're going to turn it on.
Yeah.
I'm not promoting I'm a voice actor, but I'm promoting that I'm a voice actor. You know what I mean? So, and it just kind of works itself out because social media is free networking, free marketing, and free branding. Got to make the use out of it.
And this is the thing, like even with that, with you just saying the top 5 French fries of all time, if you understand social media, that's going to set the comments on fire.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that's the thing. Like that's why I love talking about the food, because the food situation is you can talk about it and get heated. People get visceral when they talk about blue cheese compared to ranch, flats compared to drums. You know what I mean? But it never reaches that point where politics would go a little too far, where religion would go a little too far. You can have a heated debate about pot pies all day, but you don't want to slit anyone's throat over a pot pie. You know what I mean? So it's just that much. And like, I don't know if you remember from wrestling, Eric Bischoff would say controversy creates cash.
Yes, he would.
You know what I mean? So healthy debate in comment sections spark the algorithm and keeps things pushing.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, that's one of the reasons why we started the whole podcast, me and my crew, because like we would watch all these geek properties and we love them because they give us like the knowledge and things like that. But the one thing that we felt was missing was they didn't sound and talk like us, right? And so we wanted to bring that barbershop talk. So it's like, when we debate in Goku versus Naruto, it's like, yo, Goku got them hands though. Like that's how we talking. But I was like, and that wasn't there. So when we started doing that, and then I started finding more and more people within this community that debate and talk like that, I said, yes, this is how I want to talk about it. I don't want to be like, well, let me tell you that, like, no, I want to talk about like, wait, man, get out of here. Like it sounds like, I tell people all the time, when we talk Batman versus Superman, it sounds like Jordan versus LeBron. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's that much passion, but again, it's never to the point where we want to fight each other. It's just more so like, if you tell me something, a hot take, and I'm like, man, fuck out of here. You ain't gonna be like, dang, I don't like deuces. You're gonna be like, man, fuck out of here.
You know what I mean? That's just like you said, you bring it back to that barbershop talk. You know what I mean? Like I've heard conversations in the shop where you would think, if you were an outsider, you would think these two dudes about to come to blows. It's about to go down on the back alley out back. No, that's just how we talk. You know what I mean? We get heated, you know what I mean? Bust chops, bust balls, or whatever it is. But it's like, you know what I mean? That's just the way we talk.
All right. So the next game that I like to play with my guests is called our Geekset Hypotheticals. Okay. So I need to know from you, first off, which apocalypse do you believe that you will be able to last the longest in? The robot apocalypse, the zombie apocalypse, or the alien apocalypse?
Zombie, because I've seen just about every episode of The Walking Dead. So I feel like I am very well equipped mentally to get that done.
All right. So here's question B within that one. All right. So there's 3 levels of zombies. Okay. We have your Walking Dead, traditional walking zombies. Okay. Right. We have your mutated Resident Evil type of zombies where anything can pretty much become a zombie. And then we have your rage zombies, the ones that sprint at you. So let's talk about Walking Dead zombies. Okay. How long are you giving yourself in that world?
Oh, I'm dying a natural death, like old age.
Okay.
I'm gonna be just fine. I'm gonna be just fine.
So this is where I realized with Walking Dead and no traditional zombies. I believe I can make fire, but I've never really had to make fire. So I don't know. I don't know if that skill set's there. I don't know how to hot wire a car. So like there's a lot of survival skills that I need to brush up on before I'm ready for that one.
Oh no, same story. I feel you.
All right, so Resident Evil zombie. Now this is the one that's usually like I don't know. How long you giving in that one?
Now, when you say, I don't know if I'm familiar with this one, like you say anything can become a zombie. Like you're talking like zombie dogs, zombie birds, and shit like that.
Yeah.
That's scary as fuck. Shit. Why does the aspect of a zombie bird scare me more than a human zombie? That's some scary shit. A zombie pigeon is nightmare fuel. Fuck. Damn, I think I'd be cool. I'd be cool because if are they moving at the same rate as like a human zombie? Like you said, a slow ass bird, like it would be a slow ass Walking
So
Dead.
in Resident Evil, the animals, they didn't change their speed. So however they are in the world right now, that's kind of how they still was going.
Okay, so I would probably fashion some sort of protective suit, Kevlar suit, or whatever it is. I think I'm making it to old age. I think I'm making it old age.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now the rage zombies. Now those are the ones that just sprint at you. Those are the ones.
I don't think I got that in me. You see some shit just running at you 45 miles an hour. No, shit, I might make it a week. I ain't running. I'm 260 pounds. I ain't running much. So nah.
That's what it is. Like my survival. I feel like even with The Walking Dead, even with my limited that I haven't really tested out survival skills.
Yeah.
The reason why I feel like I would be able to last the longest in there is just when I watch these zombie movies, I feel like people make the dumbest mistakes.
Always.
I'm like yes, we gotta go on a supply run, right?
Yeah.
But I'm like the go-to always should be throw something in the room and then listen. Exactly. I'm never just walking into a room.
Exactly. You need to think common sense. Common sense is lost when you're in those pressure situations.
Yeah. So all right. So yeah, we got zombie apocalypse. Then we figure out where you want to. So one more segment, and then we're gonna get you up out of here. I like to do top 5. Okay. So I do want to get your top 5. Are you a big anime head?
I am big on like the super Americanized animes. Like, you're talking about the 4Kids stuff, the Adult Swim stuff, the mid 2000s Adult Swim type stuff. You know what I mean?
Well, then let's do it this one because, like I said, you're a huge Marvel head. I want to know. Now, this is going to be hard, and so but what is your top 5 Marvel movies?
Oh, goddamn. Okay, starting at number 5.
I was going to give you a caveat.
Sure.
It doesn't have to be in order.
Okay.
And it can be just like where you're at right now with it.
Oh, I feel you. Okay. That makes it a little easier. Okay. Off rip, I'm going to say Civil War. That's probably my number 1. Civil War. And then I'd probably say Multiverse of Madness.
Ooh.
Then I would probably go Iron Man 2. Next, we're probably going to have I take that back. Well, since we're not in order, the Black Panther, that's probably my number 2. So what's that leave me at 4 total? I got one more. This is a cop out, but I'm going to say Loki. I'm going to throw a series in there if I'm allowed to throw Loki.
Yeah, we'll allow that. That. Cool, now, but I do want. I normally don't challenge people's top 5, but I do want to. I want to inquire how did Iron Man 2 work into you? Because a lot of people don't put Iron Man 2 in their tops.
No, it's only because it's where they showed that struggle with Tony and his anxiety post. Was it Iron Man 2 or was it Iron Man 3? Whichever one where he was like really struggling with his like anxiety post Avengers, where he was with his where he went to that town and Harley Keener, the little boy. I think that was that 2 or was that 3?
That was 3 because that was Killian.
Right. Oh yeah, because 2 is when they introduced Black Widow. Right. Never mind. So Iron Man 3, only because it really showed how Tony Stark's rash decisions were actually eating away at him from again just him deciding he was going to take that bullet to ride that nuke into the portal and having anxiety from it, and then just him getting all the backlash from like just all of his past mistakes and his alcoholism catching up on him and everything, and then him having that full circle moment of seeing this little kid and kind of mentoring him, and even the heartwarming moment at the end where he left him like an entire laboratory. You know what I mean? It's really a lot of character building for the guy who started the MCU pretty much. So yeah, that's kind of why that one has a little bit of a warm spot here for me.
You know what's so funny about what you just said is that the villains in that one was so bad that we forget that, because I legit forgot all about that. I forgot. And it makes sense because as far as character growth for Tony, because like I said, Iron Man 2 and 3, there was never no issue with Iron Man. We just we didn't like how they did Whiplash. We definitely didn't like how they did the Mandarin. Like, you know, and so it was like all like there was just things that they did so bad that you forget, like, oh wait, the main character's growth happened within this movie, and that does make sense. All right, I respect that. I respect that. All right, so now I got to get one last top 5. I want to get your top 5 wrestlers.
Oh my God. Okay, so I'm going to say The Undertaker. I'm going to go with it gets hard. It gets hard. Okay, Undertaker, Mark Henry.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, just for that whole that swerve segment with the pink salmon jacket, he deserved an Oscar for that alone. Had me going. Batista slept on. Honestly, the best wrestler to become an actor, in my opinion. I know we want to give it to Rocky, but
no,
Batista,
listen here. He has more range, and it's only due to The Rock's stardom. The Rock's stardom is so fucking big that like it's like he can't be a true villain. Black Adam would have been it. And
that was his best attempt. His best attempt. I mean, the Rock just basically plays The Rock in every movie, just different variations of The Rock, honestly. But that said, honestly, The Rock, I mean, because as far as wrestling goes, the best mic work you're going to see in the Attitude Era and early 2000s. So definitely The Rock. And do I want to say Stone Cold? I feel like there's probably is so many better. I mean, I can't say better because Stone Cold's a legend, and he does have a Booker T. Booker T, because Booker T is one of those ones who is constantly hilarious. Anything that he was thrown, they made work. The whole King Booker, who else could have made King Booker work? You know what I mean? And even on when they bring him back to commentary off and on throughout the years, dude is a funny motherfucker.
I didn't appreciate him until later on, and then when I started going back, because like when it was Harlem Heat and everything, like I respected Harlem Heat, you know what I'm saying, everything like that. But like I was so NWO and everything like that, like you know what I'm saying. Like, you know, and Goldberg, that's when he was doing his run, and it was like, so it was like I didn't really appreciate him, but when I started going back, I was like, yo, Booker T was solid.
And you know, he's still wrestling. Like he has a wrestling school in Houston. He had a match, like I think it was last month. And dude looks incredible. Dude is in great shape. He's still getting it.
Booker T, Stone Cold just did. I forgot what that show is where like they take you sneaker shopping.
I saw that.
But I was like, yo, Stone Cold look like he can go right now.
Yeah,
like,
he still looks like Stone Cold. Like a few of them, like some wrestlers age very hard, but folks like Stone Cold, Rock, and Booker T, they look like they could jump in the ring right now and beat ass. You know.
Yeah, one of my favorites is Sting, man. I love Sting.
Oh yeah, for sure. Sting.
Especially when he became the Crow Sting. Like I was all in on that, bro. Yeah. I was all in on that.
And it's sad. Sting is one of the ones that just nowadays it's like, just sit down, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. So the last segment that we generally do, I like to do recommendations, something that you're watching, you're reading, you're listening to, but something that you think our listeners and viewers should check out.
Well, actually, on the music side, I'm not sure if you hit to Moray.
Oh no,
rapper.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's just got it. He's just got it. And I'm not a massive rap guy. Like I listen to no, that's a lie. I do listen to a lot of rap, but I mean, like he's one of the ones where, like, I don't know, just very melodic flow, good singer on top of it. His beats, whoever's producer is amazing. Just all of his instrumentals, the music behind his songs is just phenomenal. Almost like orchestral, almost like cinematic, like very well written songs. Yeah, but still just talking about real shit, like, you know, growing up where we grew up and stuff like that. Moray is, I would say, if you're not hip to Moray, get hip. He's a good guy.
Yeah, that's a solid one. Yeah, because I like. To me, I always say, like, I've come to this place where, like, I mean, I like my hood shit, you know, like there's like when I'm in the car, depending on like if I just want to have that bass in it, I'm gonna listen to some hood shit. But for the most part, like I do listen to a lot of like more lyrical people, and I don't care if it's like a melodic lyrical, if it's like super spiritual miracle type rapper, but I just like to hear people talking. So like I've been like listening to a lot of JID, Dear Silas, you know what I'm saying? Like, but like like Moray's up there. Like I just like those people who, like I said, you got something that you're talking about, you know, as well. So yeah, that's a solid one. Right. So where can my people find you, and what would you like them to support you on?
You can find me on all socials at S_Johnson_voiceovers. At the time, I am currently making a push on YouTube. I just reached 100K followers on there. I'm expecting my little award tomorrow. Hopefully it should be here. And in the spirit of reaching this new plateau on YouTube, I'm going to be taking the 1 chip challenge this weekend or next weekend, and that's going to be on my YouTube channel. So if you follow me again, S Johnson Voiceovers on YouTube, you have some fun stuff coming up soon. If you want to see me in pain, go and subscribe now.
Also, if you want to see him in pain, go watch his Hot Ones mock-up episode. Oh man, dog, we're not talk about laughter. So I've done the Hot Ones things on my own. I've done both of their lineups, their very, very first lineup in there. And I've done the 1 chip challenge twice, right?
Have you?
Yeah, man. And your reaction is exactly the same reaction I had, because you have some that you're like, you tasting the sauce, you're like, okay, man, this tastes good, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have some that are just like pure heat and horrible and nasty.
Yeah.
But then you have those ones that creep up. But that was the funniest. I forgot which sauce it was. The ones where you're like, oh, that was good. And then all of a sudden it hits the back of your throat. You're like, whoa.
It's scary. Your heart starts pumping. You feel adrenaline. Like, what the fuck did I just do?
I'm gonna give you one tidbit to watch out for with that 1 chip challenge, man.
Yeah.
It's the dust.
It's dust.
The chip dust.
That's
That's what take you out, because
really
you bite the chip, you're like, all right, this is good, and then you know it's spicy, but you forget like a Dorito. It's because it's pretty much a big Dorito.
Yeah.
But imagine, like, how we always want that Cool Ranch Dorito that got all the flavoring.
Yeah.
That's what the 1 chip challenge is. It's a chip with all the flavoring. So it's like, this. I wish they did all Doritos like this, but then when you realize what you're biting into, that 1 chip challenge ain't no joke, man. I'm definitely tuning in for that.
Yeah, it should be up hopefully this weekend. I'm either going to do it this weekend, meaning it's going to be up the following weekend, or I'm going to do it the next weekend, meaning it'll be up that following weekend. So it's coming. It's coming. So wish me luck, bro.
All right, well, this is 101 with Deuces. I have been your boy Deuces. This has been the amazing, again, the vocal assassin himself, Stefan Johnson, and we are out. Peace.